A grandmother loses everything to a politician who believes power makes him untouchable. Ibrahim, Traoré, steps into a fight where the rules are written by thieves. What happens next will shake the system to its core. Before we dive in, what time are you listening and where are you from? Drop a comment below and tell me. Please like and subscribe to join the Ibrahim Traoré family. Ibrahim Traoré walks through the market in Cumbia, observing the daily rhythm of his people. A woman sits on bare ground where her shop once stood, staring at rubble. He stops, notices her hands trembling, and asks what happened. She tells him armed men came 3 days ago with papers. They demolished her grandmother's shop without warning. The land belonged to her family for 30 years, but the document claimed it now belonged to someone else. Ibrahim examines the demolition site. Fresh concrete dust still hangs in the air. The neighboring shops stand untouched, creating a suspicious gap in the row. He asked for the papers. The document bears an official government seal. The signature belongs to Minister of Urban Development, Amadou Keita. The transfer date shows 2 weeks ago, but the ink smells fresh. Something does not add up. Ibrahim takes photographs of the demolished site from multiple angles. He notices construction materials already stacked nearby, ready for immediate use. Someone planned this demolition long before the paperwork was signed. The grandmother's granddaughter explains they received no warning, no court summons, no opportunity to contest. One morning the men arrived with machines and soldiers. They had 2 hours to remove their belongings. Ibrahim asks if they kept copies of their original property documents. The granddaughter nods and retrieves a weathered folder from a neighbor's shop. Inside are purchase receipts, tax payments, and registration documents spanning 3 decades. Every document is legitimate and properly stamped. This family owned that land legally and completely. Ibrahim returns to his office in Ouagadougou. The Burkina Faso flag stands behind his desk as he searches the National Property Registry. The grandmother's name appears in records dating back decades. No sale, no transfer, no legal proceedings. He expands his search to surrounding properties. The pattern becomes clear. 6 other families in that neighborhood lost their land in the past 8 months. All transfers signed by Minister Keita. All demolitions executed within days. Ibrahim calls the Ministry of Urban Development directly. The secretary says Minister Keita is unavailable. Ibrahim requests the original land transfer file. The secretary promises to send it within 3 days. 3 days pass. No file arrives. Ibrahim calls again. The secretary claims the file is being reviewed by the legal department. He asks when it will be ready. Next week, she says. Maybe longer. Ibrahim recognizes the stall tactic. He assigns 2 trusted officers to investigate the property records at the ministry building. They arrive the next morning with proper authorization. The records room clerk denies them access. She claims the files are being audited and cannot be disturbed. One officer shows the presidential authorization. The clerk locks the door and walks away. The system is protecting something. Ibrahim instructs his officers to wait outside the records room. They observe staff members entering and leaving throughout the day. At noon, they notice a clerk carrying boxes to a service vehicle in the rear parking area. One officer follows the vehicle to a private storage facility across the city. The boxes are unloaded and taken inside. The officer photographs everything but cannot access the facility without a warrant. Ibrahim requests an emergency warrant from the chief magistrate. The request sits on the magistrate's desk for 2 days without action. Follow-up calls go unanswered. The legal system is also blocking him. Ibrahim reviews satellite images of the demolished property. Construction equipment sits on the cleared land. Workers have already begun digging foundations. The project moves with unusual speed for government work. He cross-references the construction permits. The application was filed 1 week before the land transfer. Someone knew they would own that property before the paperwork existed. Ibrahim drives to the site at dawn. Workers arrive in unmarked trucks and begin pouring concrete. A supervisor directs them with confidence, never checking permits or plans. Ibrahim approaches and asks who authorized this construction. The supervisor looks at his soldier uniform, hesitates, then makes a phone call. Within minutes, a convoy arrives. A man steps out and introduces himself as director of the Urban Renewal Project. He explains this land was legally acquired for public development. Ibrahim asks to see the acquisition documents. The director smiles. He says all paperwork is filed with Minister Keita's office. If Ibrahim has questions, he should direct them through proper channels. The director returns to his vehicle and leaves. Ibrahim photographs everything: the construction materials, the equipment, the workers. He notices luxury sedans parked nearby, watching. Their drivers never leave the vehicles. Someone very powerful is watching back. Ibrahim assigns a surveillance team to monitor the construction site 24 hours a day. They document every delivery, every worker, every visitor. The logs reveal a pattern. Deliveries arrive between midnight and 4 in the morning. The materials come from suppliers with no listed business addresses. Payment records do not exist in any official database. One surveillance officer recognizes a delivery driver from a previous investigation. The driver works for a logistics company owned by a former military officer. That officer has connections to the presidential palace guard. The web extends into military circles. Ibrahim orders a quiet audit of all properties transferred under Minister Keita's authority in the past year. The audit team discovers 43 similar cases. Small family properties demolished, replaced with commercial developments. Each transfer followed the same pattern: elderly owners, rushed paperwork, immediate demolition. The properties formed a line through the city's poorest neighborhoods. One analyst notices all 43 properties now belong to a single holding company. The company name is deliberately vague, registered offshore. The CEO is listed as a foreign national with no physical address. Ibrahim traces the company's financial records. Money flows in from construction contracts, then disappears into accounts in 3 different countries. The amounts are staggering. He finds a connection. Minister Keita's brother-in-law sits on the holding company's advisory board. The payments to that board member match exactly with the dates of each property seizure. The trail leads directly to the minister's family. Ibrahim digs deeper into the holding company's structure. He discovers it was established 7 years ago, long before Minister Keita took his current position. Someone was planning this operation for years. The company's initial capital came from 3 anonymous investors. The amounts were substantial, far beyond what local businessmen could provide. The money originated from accounts in nations known for sheltering questionable wealth. Ibrahim's financial analyst tracks the flow backwards through shell companies and trust funds. The trail goes cold at a bank in a small island nation that refuses information requests. But one detail emerges. The bank's largest client is a foundation controlled by Burkina Faso's former defense minister, a man who retired with honors and now lives in luxury. The corruption runs deeper than one minister. Ibrahim prepares to present his findings to the National Assembly. He schedules a closed session for the following week. His chief of staff sends secure notifications to key assembly members. That night, Ibrahim's personal phone receives an anonymous message. It contains photos of his daily route, his schedule, and the names of people he met that day. The message has no words. The thread is clear. The next morning, 3 assembly members who received his notification suddenly withdraw their support. They claim scheduling conflicts. One leaves the country for urgent medical treatment. Ibrahim's chief of staff reports that the assembly session has been postponed indefinitely. The speaker's office provides no explanation. Someone just demonstrated their reach inside the government. Ibrahim analyzes the anonymous message on his phone. His intelligence team traces it to a server that bounces through 5 countries before going dark. The sophistication suggests professional surveillance equipment. He orders a security sweep of his office and residence. The team finds 3 listening devices: one in his office phone, one in a light fixture, one in a vehicle he uses regularly. The devices are military-grade, available only to state security services. Someone with high clearance planted them. Ibrahim realizes his inner circle has been compromised. He begins operating with extreme caution, sharing information only verbally in secure locations. He changes his patterns, his routes, his meeting places. But the damage is done. His investigation strategy is now known to his enemies. Ibrahim shifts his approach completely. He stops using official channels and government communications. He meets the grandmother personally in Cumbia, recording her testimony in private. She explains her husband built that shop with his own hands. They raised 4 children from its income. When he died, she kept it running alone for 15 years. The day the men came, they gave her 10 minutes to remove her belongings. She grabbed what she could carry. They demolished the rest while she watched. She shows Ibrahim a metal box containing the original land deed, stamped and certified in 1994. The document is authentic, undeniable. Ibrahim asks if anyone offered to buy the property before the seizure. She nods. A man came 2 months earlier offering money, far below the land's value. When she refused, he warned her that she would lose everything. She thought he was bluffing. The grandmother describes the man in detail. Medium height, scar across his left hand, speaks with an accent from the eastern regions. He came 3 times, each time more insistent. The final visit turned threatening. He told her that powerful people wanted this land. She could take the money and leave peacefully, or she could lose everything and leave with nothing. She chose to stand her ground. She believed the law would protect her. She was wrong. Ibrahim traces the man through market witnesses. His name is Boubacar, known locally as a fixer for powerful people. Boubacar has facilitated dozens of similar acquisitions. Ibrahim's team locates Boubacar at a compound on the city's eastern edge. They observe him meeting with Minister Keita twice in 1 week. The meetings happen late at night, away from ministry buildings. Surveillance photos show Boubacar delivering envelopes. Minister Keita never writes anything down, never signs documents in Boubacar's presence. They are being very careful. Ibrahim obtains phone records through a classified security channel. Boubacar's calls trace to numbers in the minister's office, the holding company's lawyers, and construction company executives. One number appears repeatedly, but belongs to no registered person or business. Ibrahim's intelligence team identifies it as a burner phone, replaced every 2 weeks. The holder of that phone is giving orders. Minister Keita is receiving them. Someone above the minister controls this entire operation. Ibrahim authorizes surveillance on the burner phone's location. The signal moves between 3 locations: a private club in the diplomatic quarter, a secure government facility, and a residential compound north of the city. The residential compound belongs to General Sawadogo, retired military commander and current chairman of the National Investment Board. General Sawadogo has presidential-level immunity. He answers to no court, no ministry, no investigation. His position was granted for life as recognition of service. Ibrahim just discovered why the system would not move. Ibrahim researches General Sawadogo's history. The general served for 30 years, retiring at the peak of his power. He accumulated wealth that officially came from legitimate investments and business ventures. But rumors always followed him. Stories of missing military supplies, construction contracts awarded to family members, land deals that favored his associates. Nothing was ever proven. No investigation was ever completed. The general's connections protected him from scrutiny. Now he sits at the top of the investment board, controlling billions in development funds. His signature approves every major project. His word can make or destroy fortunes. He has become untouchable. Ibrahim examines the general's financial footprint more carefully. The man owns properties in 4 countries, maintains accounts in 7 banks, and controls interests in 19 companies. His official salary could never generate such wealth. Yet no authority has questioned it. No audit has examined it. No journalist has investigated it. The general exists in a protected space where normal rules do not apply. Ibrahim plans a direct confrontation. He schedules an unannounced inspection of the ministry building. He brings military security and forensic accountants. The morning of the inspection, Ibrahim arrives to find the building evacuated. A gas leak, the security guard explains. Everyone was sent home. The building will be closed for 3 days. Ibrahim checks with the utility company. No gas leak was reported. No repair crews were dispatched. The building was cleared because someone knew he was coming. Ibrahim realizes his communications are compromised at the highest level. Someone inside his security detail or staff is feeding information to the general's network. He begins operating completely alone. He personally visits the National Archives at midnight, using emergency presidential access. He searches physical records that predate digital systems. In a dusty cabinet, he finds the original city development plan from 1995. The 43 seized properties appear on an overlay map marked Future Commercial Corridor. Someone has been planning this for 30 years. The next page reveals investor signatures from that year. One name stands out repeatedly: General Sawadogo, then a rising colonel with unusual access to planning committees. The general did not discover this opportunity recently. He created it decades ago, and has been executing it piece by piece ever since. Ibrahim photographs every document with his personal device. He makes 3 copies and stores them in separate secure locations. If anything happens to him, the evidence will survive. He returns to his office before dawn. He sits alone, analyzing the scope of what he has uncovered. This is not simple corruption. This is systematic theft planned and executed over generations. The general built his empire slowly, carefully, invisibly. Each property seizure appeared isolated. Each family's loss seemed like individual misfortune. But together, they form a pattern of organized criminal enterprise operating within the government itself. Ibrahim contacts international journalists through encrypted channels. He provides evidence packages without revealing his identity. Within days, stories begin appearing in foreign media. The reports expose the property seizures, the shell companies, and the connections to General Ouagadougou. But the stories gain no attention inside Burkina Faso. Domestic media remains silent. Not one newspaper, radio station, or television network covers the story. The general's influence extends into every newsroom. The truth is being suffocated before it can spread. Ibrahim attempts to place the story with 5 different domestic news outlets. Each editor expresses interest initially. Then each editor receives a phone call. Then each editor apologizes and declines. One editor is honest enough to explain. Publishing this story would mean losing all government advertising revenue, access to official sources, and possibly facing legal action. The risk is too great. The general's power extends beyond government into media, business, and civil society. He controls the narrative as completely as he controls the land. Ibrahim receives a formal summons to meet General Ouagadougou privately. The invitation is phrased politely, but carries the weight of a command. They meet in a secure government facility. The Burkina Faso flag hangs behind the general's chair as he speaks calmly. He acknowledges Ibrahim's investigation and compliments his dedication. Then the general explains reality. Development requires difficult decisions. Old properties make way for progress. Families receive compensation. The city grows stronger. Ibrahim asks about the grandmother who received nothing. The general dismisses it as an administrative error that will be corrected. He suggests Ibrahim focus on larger threats facing the nation: border security, terrorism, economic growth. These matters deserve presidential attention. The general stands, signaling the meeting is over. As Ibrahim leaves, the general adds one final thought. Young leaders sometimes push too hard, too fast. They make enemies who outlast them. The threat lands softly but cuts deep. Ibrahim says nothing in response. He maintains eye contact with the general for a long moment. Then he leaves without acknowledging the warning. But he understands the message perfectly. The general is offering a choice: back away now, or face consequences. Ibrahim returns to find his investigation team reassigned. New orders came from the Defense Ministry. The team is needed for urgent operations elsewhere. His access to classified financial databases is suddenly restricted. Technical issues, the IT department explains. They are working to restore it. Documents he requested from the archives are now classified under national security protocols. Only General Ouagadougou can authorize their release. Ibrahim is being systematically isolated. His deputy chief of staff resigns without explanation. 2 security officers request transfers. His office assistant begins arriving late and leaving early. The people around him are receiving pressure. Some are being bribed. Others are being threatened. All are being reminded that the general's reach exceeds Ibrahim's protection. The isolation is designed to make him vulnerable and alone. Ibrahim meets secretly with the grandmother in Cumbia. He tells her the truth. The people responsible are too powerful to reach through normal justice. The system is designed to protect them. She asks if this means she will never get her property back. Ibrahim does not answer immediately. Then he explains his new plan. It requires patience, risk, and perfect timing. Most importantly, it requires her courage. She agrees without hesitation. She has already lost everything. There is nothing left to fear. The grandmother asks what she must do. Ibrahim explains she must trust him completely and follow his instructions exactly. She must continue her daily life as if nothing is happening. She must appear defeated while they prepare for war. Ibrahim begins moving in silence. He stops filing reports, stops requesting access, stops pushing through official channels. To everyone watching, he appears to have accepted defeat, but he is gathering something more powerful than evidence. He is gathering witnesses. Ibrahim quietly contacts every family whose property was seized. He documents their stories personally, recording testimony in their homes. He collects photographs, deeds, and memories. He builds a list of 43 families, each with names, faces, and undeniable proof of loss. Each family tells the same story: a stranger appearing with offers, warnings when the offers are refused, then soldiers with demolition equipment. No court hearings, no appeals, no justice. Many families received small payments months later, just enough to appear like compensation, not enough to replace what they lost. The payments came with documents requiring signatures. The families signed without reading carefully. Later, they discovered the documents contained clauses preventing future legal action. They were paid to surrender their rights. Ibrahim interviews a former clerk from the Ministry of Urban Development. The clerk left her position 6 months ago after refusing to process fraudulent property transfers. She explains the system in detail. Legitimate property records would be temporarily removed from the registry. False transfer documents would be created and backdated. The original records would then be destroyed. By the time anyone noticed, the property would be demolished and rebuilt. Contesting ownership would become legally impossible. The clerk kept copies of documents she was ordered to destroy. She gives them all to Ibrahim. This is the smoking gun. General Sawadogo's intelligence network reports that Ibrahim has gone quiet. The general interprets this as submission. He accelerates construction on the seized properties. Within 2 weeks, luxury shops and office buildings rise where family homes once stood. The general hosts an invitation-only opening ceremony. Ministers, business leaders, and foreign investors attend. The general gives a speech about national progress and economic vision. Cameras capture the celebration. The event is broadcast on state television. No one mentions the families who were displaced. No one asks where they are now. Ibrahim watches the broadcast alone. He notes every face in the audience. Ministers, assembly members, judges, military officers. Dozens of powerful people celebrating stolen wealth. He records their names and positions. When the time comes, they will all be held accountable. The general's celebration continues into the evening. Foreign investors toast the new development. Contracts are signed for additional projects. The general announces plans to expand into other neighborhoods. He speaks of transforming the entire city, creating a modern capital worthy of the nation's future. The audience applauds enthusiastically. No one questions how this transformation will be funded. No one asks whose homes will be demolished next. The general has created momentum. Now he believes nothing can stop him. Ibrahim waits 3 more days. He allows the general to feel completely secure. He allows the celebration to fade from immediate attention. Then he acts. The next morning, he appears unannounced at the National Assembly during a routine budget session. He requests emergency speaking time under presidential authority. The speaker cannot refuse. Ibrahim begins calmly. He thanks the assembly for their service. Then he projects photos on the chamber's main screen. The first image shows the grandmother sitting in the ruins of her demolished shop. The second shows Minister Keita signing transfer documents. The third shows General Sawadogo at the opening ceremony. The assembly falls completely silent. Ibrahim does not present complex evidence or legal arguments. He tells stories. He names the 43 families. He shows their faces. He describes what they lost. He explains how each seizure followed the same illegal pattern, how the money flowed to the same network, how immunity protected the architects. Then he reveals something unexpected. He projects financial records showing payments from the general's network to 12 sitting assembly members. Some of those members are in the room right now. The chamber erupts in chaos. Members shout denials. Others demand investigations. The speaker tries to restore order but cannot. Ibrahim continues speaking. His voice cuts through the noise. He names the assembly members who took payments, the amounts, the dates. Several members stand and walk out. Others remain frozen in their seats. The speaker pounds his gavel uselessly. Ibrahim displays bank transfer records on the screen. Each transaction is documented with precision. Account numbers, dates, amounts, recipient names. 12 assembly members received payments ranging from small amounts to staggering sums. All payments originated from accounts controlled by General Sawadogo's network. The evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. Then he makes his move. He announces that all evidence has been delivered to international courts and foreign governments. Immunity under Burkina Faso law means nothing beyond its borders. General Sawadogo can be charged with corruption and money laundering in 3 different countries. Extradition requests are already filed. The general's shield just shattered. Ibrahim explains that Burkina Faso's immunity laws cannot prevent prosecution in nations where the stolen money was laundered. The general maintained accounts in countries with strict anti-corruption treaties. Those countries are now investigating. Their courts are reviewing evidence. Their prosecutors are preparing charges. General Sawadogo can hide behind immunity at home, but he can never safely leave Burkina Faso again. The moment he crosses any border, he faces arrest. His empire has become his prison. The assembly chamber remains in chaos for 20 minutes. The speaker finally restores enough order to call for an emergency vote. Ibrahim proposes immediate suspension of General Sawadogo from the National Investment Board pending investigation. The vote requires a 2/3 majority. The vote passes with 78% support. Even some of the general's allies vote in favor. They recognize that association with him has become toxic. Within hours, General Sawadogo appears on state television. He resigns from the National Investment Board, citing health reasons. He denies all accusations, but offers no defense. His statement is brief and carefully worded by lawyers. He expresses disappointment at false allegations. He maintains his innocence. He wishes the nation well. Then he disappears from public view. Minister Keita is arrested by military police before sunset. The holding company's assets are frozen. Construction on all seized properties stops immediately. The assembly votes unanimously to strip the general of his immunity. The vote happens so fast that the general has no time to organize resistance. His network collapses as associates scramble to protect themselves. Documents are leaked. Secret accounts are revealed. Former allies provide testimony. The system that protected the general for decades turns against him in hours. Ibrahim does not celebrate. He returns to Cumbia with a government surveyor and legal team. They restore the grandmother's property boundaries in official records. She stands on her land, looking at the cleared space where her shop once stood. Ibrahim promises the government will fund rebuilding. She will have her shop again. She thanks him quietly. Then she asks why he fought so hard for one old woman when he has an entire country to lead. Ibrahim looks at the empty space. He explains that if the president cannot protect one grandmother, he cannot protect anyone. Justice delayed for the powerless is justice denied for everyone. The grandmother nods slowly. She understands that her fight became something larger. Her loss exposed a system of organized theft. Her courage helped bring it down. She asks when construction will begin. Ibrahim tells her within the month. She will help design it herself. For the first time in months, she smiles. The investigation expands across government ministries. 27 officials resign or are removed. The 43 properties are returned to their original families. General Sawadogo's network collapses as associates turn on each other. Hidden accounts are discovered in 7 countries. The total stolen amount exceeds the nation's annual education budget. International courts begin extradition proceedings. The general's lawyers file endless appeals. But the evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. The general remains in his compound, unable to leave the country. His international accounts are frozen. His properties abroad are seized. His business empire is dismantled piece by piece. He watches his legacy destroyed from behind locked gates. Construction companies that participated in the scheme are barred from government contracts. Several executives face criminal charges. The holding company is dissolved. Assets seized from the network are redirected into a compensation fund. Each family receives payment equal to their property's current market value plus damages for displacement. The grandmother's shop is rebuilt within 3 months. Ibrahim attends the reopening personally. No cameras, no speeches, no ceremony. She serves him food at a simple table. They sit together in silence. Outside, the market returns to its normal rhythm. Ibrahim realizes this is why he wears the uniform. Not for power, not for status. For moments like this. For the chance to restore what corruption destroys. Other families begin reopening their shops and businesses. The neighborhood slowly rebuilds. The luxury developments that replaced their homes are demolished. The general's vision of a modern commercial corridor disappears. In its place, the community returns. Some observers criticize this decision. They argue the new buildings were economically valuable. They claim development was sacrificed for sentiment. Ibrahim responds simply, "Development built on stolen land is not progress. It is just theft with architecture." The story spreads across Burkina Faso through whispers and conversations. People begin to believe that accountability is possible, that power has limits, that justice can reach anyone. Other victims of corruption start coming forward. The presidential office receives hundreds of complaints each week. Each one is investigated seriously. The system begins to change because one grandmother refused to accept injustice, because one leader refused to look away. Ibrahim establishes a special investigation unit focused on property rights and land seizures. The unit operates independently with direct presidential oversight. In the first 6 months, they identify 117 additional cases of illegal property transfers. Most involve the same pattern: elderly owners, fraudulent documents, immediate demolition. Many cases connect back to associates of General Ouagadougou. Some reveal entirely new corruption networks. The investigation expands. The message is clear. In Burkina Faso, no one is too powerful to face consequences. No one is too poor to receive justice. The scales can be balanced if someone is willing to stand in the gap. 1 year after the grandmother's shop was demolished, Ibrahim returns to Cumbia. The market thrives with renewed energy. New businesses have opened. Families have returned. The grandmother's shop is busier than ever. She hired 2 assistants to help manage the increased demand. She plans to expand into the space next door. She sees Ibrahim and waves. He joins her at a table. She serves him the same simple meal they shared a year ago. She tells him business is good, better than before. People come specifically to support her shop because they know the story. She has become a symbol of resistance against corruption. Her survival represents hope. General Ouagadougou faces trial in 3 international courts. The proceedings move slowly through legal systems designed for complexity. His lawyers delay and obstruct at every opportunity. But the evidence is too strong. Convictions appear inevitable. The general will likely spend his remaining years in prison. His children have distanced themselves from him. His fortune is gone. His reputation is destroyed. He sits in his compound, waiting for justice. Minister Keita receives a 12-year sentence for corruption and abuse of office. He serves his time in a prison that once held people who opposed his policies. The irony is not lost on observers. Boubacar, the fixer, testifies against dozens of officials in exchange for a reduced sentence. His testimony reveals the inner workings of the corruption network in detail. He describes how families were targeted, how documents were forged, how payments were distributed. His testimony fills thousands of pages. He provides the roadmap for dismantling the entire system. The Assembly passes comprehensive property rights reform. New laws require public notice before any seizure. Independent courts must approve all transfers. Families receive fair market compensation. The reforms make it nearly impossible to repeat what the general accomplished. The system now contains safeguards and oversight. But Ibrahim knows laws alone are not enough. The culture must change. People must believe they have rights worth defending. That change happens slowly, one case at a time, one victory at a time. 2 years after the investigation began, all 43 families have reclaimed their properties. Their businesses are rebuilt. Their lives are restored. They gather for a celebration in the market. The grandmother is honored as a hero. She stands before the crowd, uncomfortable with attention. She speaks briefly. She thanks Ibrahim for believing her when no one else would. She thanks her neighbors for supporting her through the darkest days. Then she says something that silences the crowd. She explains that she is not special or brave. She simply refused to accept that justice was impossible. She believed that right could triumph over power. She believed that one voice could matter. And she was proven correct. Ibrahim watches from the edge of the crowd. He does not seek recognition or credit. This moment belongs to the families who suffered and survived. He knows that true leadership means empowering others, not claiming glory. His role was to remove obstacles and restore systems. The people themselves created the change. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more videos like this.